So in today's video, I have updated my upload file form. This will enable me display a progress bar when the file is uploaded to my file server. I also added additional information to display to the user how much data in bytes is being uploaded to show you guys my JavaScript code and my modified HTML code. So I've modified my JavaScript code to accept MP4 and MKV file format, just so I can show you guys how the upload file form works with the progress bar. When I tried using smaller files, the animated progress bar happened so fast. So I had to look for a file that had significant amount of size. That way, when we are uploading, we get to see how much data is being transferred from the user's device to your file server. And that's exactly what's happening here. This is the size of the file, and this is how much bytes is being transferred from the user's device to your server. Let's go into our HTML code and check out what we added to ensure that the user sees a progress bar. This is my HTML code, and as you can see, I have removed the form tag. Since we're going to be using AJAX, there is no need adding the form element. Every other element stays the same. I have simply added a div that we are going to affect the width using JavaScript. While the file is being uploaded, using a simple formula, we're going to alter the width of this div called loaded container. I'm going to show you the CSS styles for this div. I've also added a simple p tag to display how much bytes has been uploaded to our server in real time. That's it for my HTML code. Nothing changed except removing the form element and adding this bit of element here to display the data while the file is being uploaded. This is my CSS code. I just have basic styling going on here. This is the HTML container that we're going to be affecting the width. As you can see, the width is set to 0%, and the parent container has a width set to 200 pixels. In our JavaScript code, we're going to be affecting the width of this element while the file is being uploaded. Let's go into our JavaScript code. We're not using a form. I commented out the prevent the default, which prevents the form from submitting until we validated the input of all the data the user wants to upload to our system. But since we're using AJAX, we really don't need to prevent the default function anymore. I also made changes to my file upload size. This way I can upload a larger file and show you the progress as the file is being uploaded. Once form submit is set to true, just like how we had in our previous video, instead of submitting the form, we're simply creating an object called FormData. Now, FormData allows us to create a form within our JavaScript. This object reference represents a form in JavaScript, and within this object, we can append values of elements in our HTML code and pass those values to a PHP script. So that's what I did here. I created an object reference for the form data, and I've also created XMLHttpRequest object and assigned that to the HR variable. This is a post from W3 Schools that highlights the usage of the XML HTTP request, and the AJAX simply helps you send information without reloading the page. So I've created my URL, which is going to be the parsing script where I'm going to be pushing all of my information. So I've created an object reference of the file input, which is the ID of the file, and I've appended that value to my form data object reference, and I've attached the name of the file. This way I can manipulate this data using the name in my PHP script. I've also added other values, selected option, and the email. And I've added the progress handler, which is my callback function, which I'll explain soon. This line of code handles the progress of the upload. While the user is uploading the form, this function is always going to keep firing off until the upload is complete. Added an event listener called load, also giving it the complete handler argument and callback function. And this is the complete handler function down below here, which I will explain soon. So now that we have all of our data appended into our form data object reference, and we have our HR, which is our XML HTTP request, ready with all of the callback functions, we can now send the data to our PHP parsing script. So this is where we send the data for PHP server side, process and validate before giving us feedback. So let's explain the progress handler event and the complete handler event, which we have used during the file submission. The progress handler targets the loaded total, which is simply this p tag here, ID, loaded content, and loaded text. So these three elements, we are going to be dynamically altering their state while the file is being uploaded. Progress handler is a function that's fired off while the file is being uploaded. Now I've done a little mathematical expression here to convert the loaded and the total events to a percentage value. This way making it more reader friendly. Now I'm going to explain the loaded and total events. I told you there's a lot of events you can listen for using JavaScript. This is W3 Schools and it shows the progress event and it has multiple properties like the loaded and total. And this shows you how much work has been loaded, the total amount that has been loaded. So I've simply applied those properties to my progress event and I've verified how much data is being sent when the form is being submitted. And I've displayed the values in percentage using this formula. For the complete handler, this fires off when the upload is complete. We want to set the loaded context, the width to 0, returning it back to its default value. And we also want to set the loaded text in our HTML. Return data simply holds whatever value our PHP script spits back. So if our PHP script echoes back success, which means all validation successful and the file has been uploaded, then we want to simply reload the location of the page. Else, we want to display whatever error or whatever message our PHP script sends us. We want to display that value in our file error container. That's it for the JavaScript code. Our PHP code remains the same. I only simply modified error message display. So instead of assigning our error message to a session variable, since we're using AJAX, simply just echoed out whatever message our PHP script needs to display for me to actually upload files that have large amount of size. I noticed that my PHP ini settings needed to be updated. Now for me, I'm using XAMPP and I was able to update my upload max file size to 500 MB and change the post max size to 500 MB as well. This way, my PHP script will be able to parse and upload files of 500 MB and below. So your PHP settings ini file needs to have a value higher or the same with your parsing script. Alright guys,